So I've started working on season 2, which is going to be all about Saturn return and creating a spiritual business, but also how to use spirituality as well as other modalities, wellness modalities to help you in your job, in a business, a side hustle. And so I'm really excited to share this new season with you. I hope you are excited. It's taken me a little while to kind of get it started, but it's on its way right now. So I thought I would just pop in and say hello, see how you're doing. And meanwhile, share a little bit more about Saturn Return as well as the Saturn Return Club. So, I think my first episode for Saturn Return was about a year and a half ago, super early on in season 1 of Into the Woo. And so I thought I'd come in and kind of, refresh people's memories. Some people are new to the podcast. And so Saturn return actually happens 3 times in your life. Yeah. So just because you passed your first one, it doesn't mean you're not going to experience your second one and your third one. So it happens in your late 20s, mid to late 50s, and again, mid to late 80s. So 20s, 50s, and 80s. I feel like the one in your 20s really hits you the hardest because you're young and you just have no idea that you would probably have an existential crisis like that because that's what Saturn return really is. It's an existential crisis. It also ushers in a lot of people's spiritual awakening. Like for me, it was all of the above because Saturn is really here to make sure that you are following your soul's purpose, your soul's contract. Like, what are you meant to do in this life? What are you supposed to learn? Who are you supposed to help? And how are you going to contribute to the greater community? And so, those are some of the big questions that Saturn asks of you during your Saturn return. And your Saturn return is always for a couple years. You'll feel it a few years before and a little bit after as well. So I definitely feel like all in all, it was like a 5 year period with the Saturn return chunk being kind of like the most intense. And, some people they cruise through their Saturn return, and that is such a blessing. But some people, like myself, it's a little bit more difficult. But whatever experience you have, Saturn return is really for your highest good, meant for your evolution and your growth. So if you surrender to it and stop resisting things, it is a very beautiful experience. And at the end, once you kind of make it through, because that's the only way to get out of it is through it, you will be a different person. You will feel more authentic. You will feel more closely aligned to your truth, and overall, just in a better place. So that is what Saturn return is. It's like I said, it's in your late 20s, it's in your mid to late 50s. And for anyone listening and you're experiencing your Saturn return, your second one, know that you can refer to your first one as kind of like, how am I going to feel? What are some themes that came up in the first one? Those are probably going to be some of the same themes that come up in your second Saturn return as well. And I think it's so comforting. When you have your second Saturn return to know that, okay, the first one was tough, but I made it through. And I kind of brought in a new phase, ushered in a new version of myself, and also kind of a new career path. Saturn is definitely all about career. And really, Saturn rules my chart as Capricorn is kind of like the energy of my astrology, and Saturn rules Capricorn, and it's all about career, career, career. So, now that I look back on, my career clarity readings and the things that I love to share about, it all makes a lot of sense. And so that leads me to share about Saturn Return Club. This community is something that is complimentary for now. I haven't decided if I'll charge for it later, but it's definitely complimentary right now for anyone who books a career clarity reading with me. And this is a community where I will share like tips and resources and articles. We'll have workshops, and I have a workshop coming up next week. So if anybody wants to book a reading with me this week, I'll give you early access to the Saturn Return Club. There's also a way for you to communicate with other people in the community as well. But I wanted to provide a resource for those who needed more in their journey. You come to me for a career clarity reading. It's most likely you're dealing with your Saturn return, but also it's not just for people experiencing their Saturn return, but just anyone who has questions about their career, which really Saturn is all about. So that's what the club is, and I hope you will join me there. And so, again, next week we have our first workshop. It's all about intuition. I'm going to lead you through a workshop to help you feel more closely connected to your intuition, to really activate it, to strengthen it in finding clarity in what you're supposed to be doing next, or if you already found this next thing, kind of like, what are the next steps moving forward? Because it's not just like one day, it's like an aha moment. Sometimes you wake up, you're like, oh, you feel more clear about things, but it's always building upon each step, like it's building on top of one another, like as you kind of move forward in your career, in your business, whatever, you'll just be guided towards kind of like what you need to do next. And so I've always found that support and guidance to be so helpful, because that is what I'm always thinking about, my business and my career. And so that's a little bit about the Saturn Return Club, as well as Saturn Return in general. I'd love to know any questions you have about Saturn return. In the club, I'll also share how astrology and human design and other systems have helped me figure out, what my purpose is and what my career path should be like. And all the things that I teach through my one-on-one mentorships in the career clarity reading that you'll receive. Like, it's all the things that have worked for me, from like astrology, human design, mindfulness, like pulling cards, energy reading, all of these types of things. So I hope you'll join me. Let me know if you have any questions, and I hope you have a wonderful day and stay tuned. Season 2 is coming soon.